The wind rolled low across the open prairie that evening, humming through the dry grass like an old forgotten hymn, and Jacob Harlow, known across the frontier as the lone cowboy of Silver Mesa, sat on his creaking porch, staring toward the horizon as the sun melted into gold. He had lived alone for 8 long years, ever since the passing of his gentle wife Mary, raising his 2 daughters, Clara and June, with nothing but grit, prayer, and the stubborn will of a man who believed God still walked these lands. But that night, something felt different in the air, something soft, something changing, and he felt it before he even heard the hoofbeats. Those hurried hoofbeats, climbing over the last ridge as his daughters came riding faster than he had ever seen, their faces flushed with urgency, with purpose, with a kind of trembling hope, and before Jacob could stand fully to his feet, they were already off their horses, breathless, shouting, "Pa! Pa, we found someone. She needs help." And that's when he saw her, a young Apache woman wrapped in a thin, faded blanket, shivering, leaning weakly against Clara's shoulder. Her dark braided hair clung to her face, her eyes half open, like someone drifting between life and death. And Jacob felt something push deep inside his chest, something he hadn't felt in years, an instinct not of fear, not of caution, but of compassion, the same compassion Mary once carried in her eyes whenever someone in need came to their door. And as the sky darkened and the chill bit deeper, Jacob stepped forward, slow but sure, taking the woman's arm and lifting her gently as he murmured, "Easy now. You're safe, miss. You're safe here," guiding her inside the cabin as the girls hurried to light the fire, their warm glow spilling over the wooden walls while Clara fetched blankets and June heated broth, the whole home moving like a single heartbeat. And as the flames brightened, Jacob saw her clearer, strong cheekbones, soft features, her quiet pride even in her weakened state, and when she finally opened her eyes fully, meeting his, there was a story in them, a story of distance, storms and long journeys, the kind only the plains could carve into a person's spirit. And she whispered her name, Ayanna, with a voice so gentle it felt like the wind settling at dusk. Jacob nodded respectfully, answering with a soft, "You rest now. You're among friends." And though he meant those words with simple kindness, the weight of them wrapped the room like a promise that life, even in the wild, had a way of bringing people together for reasons bigger than survival. The nights that followed grew warmer, not because the winter faded, but because the cabin felt alive again, filled with conversation, healing, and the quiet laughter Ayanna shared with Clara and June as she regained her strength. And Jacob found himself lingering near the fire more often, listening from the side as the girls asked Ayanna about her tribe, about the stars, about the meanings hidden in the wind. Everything about her presence carried calm, wisdom, and a gentleness the West rarely offered anymore. And as days stretched into weeks, Jacob realized his daughters were smiling. Again, truly smiling, the kind they hadn't shown since Mary's passing. Yet what surprised him most was how Ayanna would often look at him with gratitude so deep it stirred old parts of his heart he thought would never wake again. Parts that made him wonder if a man could receive a second chance at family, at connection, at something like hope. And though he tried to remain steady and quiet as the old cowboy he was, Ayanna's warmth clipped through his solitude like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. One evening, as the sky turned purple and the first star blinked over the mesa, Ayanna stepped outside beside Jacob, her voice steady now, her strength fully returned, and she told him how she had been separated from her people during a winter storm, wandering for days without shelter until Clara and June found her. And she thanked him, not with simple politeness, but with a sincerity that made the old cowboy swallow hard against the emotion rising in his chest. And she said softly, "Your daughters carry your kindness, and your heart is still alive." Jacob Harlow, words so unexpected and tender they felt, like the frontier itself had paused to listen. Jacob looked out over the plains, the memory of Mary glimmering in his mind, not painfully, but warmly, as if she were approving this new chapter. And he spoke with a careful voice. This home never turned away those in need, and it won't start now. From that moment forward, Ayana grew not just as a guest, but as part of their small family, teaching June to weave beads, guiding Clara through herbal remedies, cooking meals that filled the cabin with new scents and new stories, and in return the girls taught her English phrases, cowboy humor, and the quiet peace of their mother's old Bible verses. The cabin that once echoed with loneliness now breathed with shared life, shared mornings, shared laughter. And Jacob, though still a man of few words, found his evenings drifting toward the warmth of their table, where Ayana's smile carried something that steadied him in ways he hadn't felt in years. As winter passed and spring brushed soft color over Silver Mesa, Jacob knew, without needing to say it, that the world had brought Ayana to his doorstep not by accident, but by grace. The same grace that holds wandering souls together beneath the wide western sky. And when the day finally came, that Ayana placed a hand gently over his, standing on the porch where his story once felt like it had ended, Jacob realized a lone cowboy is only lonely until the world shows him the people meant to ride beside him. The horizon stretched wide, the wind rolled calm, and Jacob Harlow, once the solitary rider of the plains, now stood with his daughters and the woman who had turned their quiet home into something alive again. It was there, with the sun dipping low, that Jacob tipped his hat to the future, embracing the truth that even the roughest trails can lead to unexpected blessings. And as the screen fades on this tale of the prairie, dear riders of the frontier, saddle up with us again. Subscribe and ride along for more Western legends that touch the heart and honor the spirit of the old Wild West. Because out here, every sunset holds another story waiting to be told.